stop saying, I don't know who need to hear this because I know a lot of you do. So you need to hear this. There is absolutely nothing hard about setting boundaries. It's standing on boundaries that'll make you feel like your chest is caving in. Setting boundaries just means that you're self-aware. You know what you will and won't tolerate in relationships with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your intimate partners. After setting the boundary, then you have to tell everyone your boundaries. You can't be mad that people are crossing boundaries they didn't even know existed. Now the hard part comes in when the people that know your boundaries still choose to cross them. Now you have to stand on what you said you were going to do when that boundary got crossed. I told my best friend that if she ever did this, I can no longer be in her life anymore. Well, she just did it. So now what are you going to do? It's not the job of everyone around you to make sure you stand on your boundaries. Your boundaries were put up because you know how you like to be treated. The people around you are worried about not crossing that boundary. But once they do, what happens next is up to you. And that's the part that'll give you heart
Also, because it's
palpitations.
something that's quietly wrecking people's mental health while they're blaming everything else. They don't blame their job or kids, their partners. They don't even blame their schedule. It's their boundaries. And more specifically, the lack of boundaries. A lot of people think they're just busy or stressed, but what's really happening is they have too much access in their lives and not enough limits. Everybody can reach them. Everybody can ask for something from them. And somehow they feel as if they're obligated to respond to all of it. And it doesn't look dramatic either. It looks normal. It looks like someone saying yes to helping when you're already tired. It looks like answering a phone call that you didn't feel like taking because you didn't want to seem rude. It looks like checking emails after work hours or responding to messages immediately or even letting conversations drag on when your energy just ran out like 10 minutes ago. It looks like being reliable and dependable and always there, which sounds good on paper, but in actuality, it's exhausting. And the wild part is that most people know they don't want to do half of the things that they say yes to. You can literally feel it in your body, that hesitation, that quiet little voice saying like I don't like this, but instead of honoring it, you override it and you say yes anyway because saying no feels very uncomfortable. And now your whole life is built around avoiding that one uncomfortable moment while creating constant ongoing stress, and they're freaking out about it. And that stress doesn't just sit in your schedule, it lives in your physical body. When your boundaries are weak, your nervous system does not get a break. You're always anticipating the next person to ask you something, or the next interruption in your day, the next thing someone needs from you. Even when your phone's going off, your body's still in that on call mode. That's why you can finally sit down, finally have a quiet moment, and still feel restless or overwhelmed. It's not about what's happening, it's about what your system has been trained to expect. Then there's the resentment that comes with never saying no or holding your boundaries. And this is the part that people don't like to admit because it does feel very ugly. You start feeling irritated with people. You feel like they're asking too much or texting too much. They need too much. You start thinking, why do they always come to me? Or why does nobody ever respect my time? And the uncomfortable truth is that people can't respect boundaries that you don't enforce. If you're if you've trained people in your life to know that you're always available, they're going to keep treating you like you're always available. That's not them being malicious. That's them responding to what you've consistently allowed them to do. And over time, that turns into the burnout that you get. Not just being tired, but that deep, heavy exhaustion where everything just starts to feel like it's too much. And even the simplest tasks feel very overwhelming. Having conversations feels very draining. Even things that you used to enjoy, they start to feel like work. And then you start turning on yourself. You start thinking, well, what's wrong with me? Or why can't I handle things like I used to? Meanwhile, your energy has been stretched so thin for so long that your system is basically just like waving the white flag. And what makes this even trickier is that boundary issues are rarely about the task itself. They're about what you think will happen if you tell this person no. You're not just avoiding saying no, you're avoiding disappointing someone, being misunderstood, or being seen as selfish or creating tension. So instead of risking hurting someone's feelings, you sacrifice your own peace to keep everything smooth on the outside. You keep showing up, you keep saying yes, you keep overextending, and you're slowly draining yourself in the process. When you don't set boundaries, you don't create healthy relationships. You create very imbalanced
This
ones.
ones.
Imbalance, you're gonna feel like you're always the one constantly giving, and the other person gets used to receiving. Not necessarily because they're bad people, but because that's the dynamic that's been established. And once that becomes the norm in the relationship, it's really hard to break that without feeling like you're changing or doing too much. But when you do start setting boundaries, things shift. And yes, at first it's very awkward. You might over explain yourself, you might feel guilty, you might rehearse what it is that you're going to say 5 times before you actually say it. You might even feel like you're doing something wrong, but at the same time, you start noticing something else. You have more energy, you feel less overwhelmed, you're not irritated. You actually have the space to breathe again because your life isn't constantly being interrupted by the things that you never had the capacity for in the first place. And if we're going to be clear about it, setting boundaries doesn't make you a mean person. It doesn't make you difficult. It just means that you're making yourself clear. It tells people what you can and can't hold without burning yourself out. And the people around you who actually respect that, those are your people. Those are the ones who will be in your corner, who'll stick up for you, who'll be your support. And then the ones who get weird or push back or try to guilt trip you into changing your no, they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries, and they don't really care about your well-being. So if you're constantly overwhelmed or constantly tired or feeling like you have nothing left at the end of the day, it's worth getting honest with yourself about your boundaries. Where are you saying yes when you really mean no? Where are you overextending just to avoid those moments of discomfort? Where are you choosing peace for everyone else and none for yourself? Boundaries aren't just about you making time in your schedule. They're about your mental health. They're about your energy, your nervous system, your quality of life. They're about your peace. And your peace isn't something that you find randomly one day. It's something that you have to cultivate, maintain, and protect. And that's what your boundaries are for, to protect that peace that you've created for yourself.
And twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of